My name's Sue. I'm going to be working with Cecy as something they call a navigator. And so I kind of coordinate things and get the right link in the future to make sure that we're on the right page. So, all right, everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I've got one more thing to do here. And then Cecy will come in, hopefully. And so where are you all? Are you in Dallas area? Are you near, Estes Park, or?
I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. Okay.
Yes.
Where are you at?
Sorry, so Cecy is joining. I am in Toronto, near Toronto.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Great. And how about you, Karen?
I'm in Arizona right now, but we have another house in Estes and we will be going there next week.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Phoenix.
Oh,
Okay.
are you? I'm in right outside, kind of close to Oracle.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right by the Phoenix Art Museum. Okay.
Oh, cool.
And Deanna, remind me again, because I know I asked you. You had several different places.
I'm in Bentonville, Iowa right now. It's outside of Des Moines. And
okay.
last week I was in Carefree, Arizona.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay, I went to Nebraska. We were big, like competitors with Iowa. So,
yep.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I know you all know Cecy already. She's got just like so much talent. I can't wait to learn from her. And I think it will be so much fun. And she's going to show us a little bit, kind of give us a little history about herself and, a little bit more related to what she plans for the upcoming sessions. So, as you guys know, Cecy's a signature member of the American Impressionist Society, National Watercolor Society, the National Oil and Acrylic Painters Society, Outdoor Painters Society. It sounds like lots of just wonderful things to be involved in. And I just can't wait to work with you, Cecy.
Well,
so,
you.
Yeah.
Me
well,
too.
First, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and kind of what you have?
I love
planned?
to talk about myself. Yeah. No, I'll just say a few things, and then I want to get to what I think mentorship is all about, and then we'll get to the critiques, because we have some paintings to critique, and I really appreciate all of you coming and sending a painting in to critique. That'll that's really half of it right there, is for somebody else to see your work, a second set of eyes. And first, I kind of want to tell my relationship with, Lucy just left. I won't start with her then. I'll start with Karen. Karen and I have known each other in Colorado for a while, and she has taken several of my workshops, and she does both oil and watercolor, and she's been very supportive of me and my teaching. So she was interested in coming today. So I'm glad you made it, Karen. And she sent in a painting that we'll critique near the second part. And then I do not, you're back, Lucy. I have met Lucy online. We are both members of the National Oil and Acrylic Painters Society, and so is Deanna. And so I mentored Lucy last year. They have a deal where you can get a mentor for an hour, and she chose me, and thank you.
That's cool.
So it was basically more of a critique than anything else, but I hope you got a lot out of it. And we have good. And we've kind of stayed in touch, and she's been very supportive of me and my work too. So we have a nice painting from her to look at today. And then we have Deanna, and she is also a member of National Oil and Acrylic Painters. And she chose me as a mentor for that hour, and we haven't done it yet. It's going to be on the 31st. So she's come to this first to kind of get a double dose of mentorship here. So that's great. And so we'll look at a painting from her and from Sue, who has been instrumental in showing me the ropes on doing this. And she's been with me every step of the way. So I appreciate it. But I just think, let me tell you what I think mentorship is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I love feedback from everybody. And I'm glad y'all are here to give feedback. But I look at it more of a knowledge transfer than a class or a workshop or something, or a, like in a weekly class, you might do a critique, have a demonstration, and then you go the next week, then you go the next week. This is more, I think, of a growing thing than just a class would be. We all have inner obstacles in our painting. Is that true? Nod your head.
Oh,
you-
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Yellow for one thing.
Yeah. So I think overcoming those is good as a more than by yourself, as a group and with someone who can guide you. Because as a mentor, I've been through it all. And I have done everything wrong that can be done wrong. And I figured out how to correct it in most cases. But it's good to have somebody on your side who has made that same mistake and knows pretty well how to get you back on the right track. And so I think that is mainly what I would be for. And I have another thing that I really think strongly about in your journey as an artist. I think too many people, including myself, want to paint a thing. Like you see a darling, like a bunny rabbit running along, and he sits there. You happen to have your camera. You take this picture of the bunny. Oh, I can't wait to paint this bunny rabbit. I'm going to paint this bunny rabbit. And you run in, you get your paints, you paint the bunny rabbit. Well, that's just fine. But you're painting something. You're painting a thing. And to take it to the next level, which is what I think all of you want to do, not if this is true, if you want to take your paintings to the next level. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Please.
please. So what if you say, wow, there's a bunny rabbit, and look at the wonderful composition of the background that this bunny rabbit and the background make together. It's just perfect. There's these big shapes and the bunny rabbit fits into them, and it's just perfect for painting. So that's a little bit better, okay? And then what if you, instead of either of those two things, painting the bunny is what you want to do, or painting the background and the composition, that's great. But what if you want to paint the light, the way the light hits the scene? And you don't even mention the word bunny rabbit. You want to paint the light hitting the scene. And I see Karen nodding big time.
Yeah.
Have we all been there, or kind of?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Anybody?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody have?
And then the bunny rabbit has shadows and
And it all ties together and makes a good composition, but that could be your purpose in painting it. That's fine. But what about if it were me, I'd say it's the way the light hits the scene. I'm really big on light. I don't know if I'll ever get out of this mode, but I just love painting the light. And that doesn't mean I don't like to paint fog or rain. I do, but I like painting light more. So,
but I think that really comes through in your paintings, Cecy. I mean, you can
so.
really, really tell that. And I mean, that to me is really impressive. Or, you know, it's hard to get that light at the right point consistent
Yeah,
throughout the
you
whole
have
painting.
to, well, and also the word practice comes into play here. It's not just a one-time deal. I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, who can they can just walk in and paint anything. You know, the first time paint it perfectly and it's wonderful. I don't think most people are like that, though. I think it takes some doing and some practice. But the point I want to put across is there's a reason. You need to have a reason for painting something, not just painting it. So
Like
anybody-
telling a story or something
Yeah.
too.
I'm gonna hop up and get a notebook real quick because I want to.
Oh, you think I might say something important? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So the good thing is, I think, to set goals, and that's what I hope in my mentorship program that I can help you with, is to set some goals and put some thoughts in your mind that this is what I need to be doing instead of what I've been doing all this time. I need to step it up here and do some thoughtful planning for your paintings, not just jump in and paint something and hope it turns out. So that's a big deal I'm going to show, hopefully.
I think also, Cecy, is there is a point when you're just repeating what is there, but you want to add something. You want to add something that is your view of that, or the way you put your soul in that thing that shows it's yours. It's not just because otherwise it's like a photograph. So
Right.
I would love to do that. I think at this point
Right.
in my life, my career, I
Well,
want to do that.
You're on the verge, because last year when I mentored you for that short hour, you know, it was you're definitely on the verge. And then I caught a glimpse of your painting today. I think it was you that I told I don't look at paintings before I critique them. I prefer, it's kind of like when you they say, you know, look at your painting in a mirror or put it against the wall and get away from it and turn it back and look at it sideways, look at it backwards, all that. It's like, for me, looking at them the first time, I can just boom, I can see things and pick them out better than if I study it to death.
Yeah.
So I haven't really looked at yours today, but I did get a glimpse of the light. Anyway,
and you know what, Cecy, the good thing about the mentorship is that someone who knows can tell you, because if I tell myself, I just tell myself the same thing that I know. So I'm not growing in any way.
And
So
and
the
you always
mentor really-
wonder am I right about this or not? You know,
Yes.
what if I'm not right and I go ahead and keep doing this? And,
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
But,
And I think it also helps reinforce, like, once you see that happening, you know, like, okay, Cecy mentioned this, or, you know, another group member also mentioned this, and it stays in your brain better. And you recognize it going forward.
I think
When you
a
have kind of that
discussion-
support.
Exactly. A discussion and support kind of reinforces it more and faster than just reading about it in a book and getting it in your head and then closing the book and that's gone, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's, you know, group support is always good. So I think that's what I like about the way Mastrius sounds. It sounds like the groups that get together to be mentored really stick together and support each other after a very short period of time. I just think it sounds wonderful. But anyway, so thoughtful planning instead of jumping in and saying, I want to paint that bunny. You have to think about so many things that, and that's what I'm getting ready to show you in a minute, some of the things. But we have to think about the values, the composition, the variety, the color unity. That's a big one too. I'm finding out more and more, moving the eye through the painting instead of just going right to the bunny and getting stuck there. You know, it's a learned thing, the movement. And a lot of this is just a learned thing. So I want to show you some things that are my whole purpose for painting the painting, and I'm getting ready to show you a few. But I want to know, since we started just a little late, is there anybody who has to leave right on the hour? Because I want to critique your painting if you have to leave, because I don't think we started till really about 15 after. So does anybody raise your hand if you are pressed for time? And I don't want to not critique your, is everybody okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, what I want to do is share my screen then, and I'm going to show you some things that are my whole purpose of painting the painting and giving you some examples of this so that it'll further kind of get it into your head what I'm really talking about. So I'm going to share my screen, but we can still talk and you can still ask questions. Don't just be quiet, because now I'm going to put Deanna on the spot first, because hers is I'm sorry, Deanna, but yours is a very good painting to start off with, because it just has so many things, and it also relates to another painting I got a glimpse of that I'm going to critique. So you're going to help out there. And let me see if I can make it bigger. No, it won't let me make it bigger. Okay, that's all right. Now, this is a very wonderful painting. It's very complicated, and she's done a wonderful job of doing this painting. I think any one of us would love to have done this painting. The color unity is good. If you look around, she's repeated the vase color in a couple of other places, and she's got a neat little fireplace going in the back left, but you don't really look at that. You want to look at the vase. And Deanna, why don't I ask you if you have any particular questions before I start in on telling you some things?
I was mainly working on the cools for the shadows and the warmth, and so I struggle with those.
Okay, and the warmth, you mean like in the vase and in the?
Yeah,
Oh gosh, I would never dream that you struggled with the
I
warmth.
struggle.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'll tell you, the things I'm going to mention are more things that are not a big part of the painting. Well, they are. Every part of the painting is a big part of the painting, but it's not like anything about the vase. I think you've done a great job on the vase, and you've repeated the colors. Now, I want to look at that vase, okay? I do not want to look out here, and I think you got this too light. And I think if you toned it down a little, I know you meant for it to be light and the light's coming in, but if you tone it down, not anywhere near as dark as this shadow part right here, it's still going to be light. But that way, your light on your vase here is going to show up even more, you know, and it's a very simple little thing that is just almost nothing, you know. Okay, and then another part that is kind of too light is out here, these lines right here. And unfortunately, we've got this arrow shape, and it kind of points you almost right directly out the corner. So I think what I would do, I'm going to get rid of all these marks so you can see the painting again. I think what I do is just tone down the white like you've done right up here. You did not let that white go out of the top of the painting. So do the same down here. And that way it'll still lead us to the vase, but it won't lead us the other direction, which I think it is now. I think it's leading out. So, okay. So far, so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So would you do the other side kind of too the same way? Or
Well, yeah, I would. Anywhere that you have a white at the edge of the page, I would tone it down anywhere. That's what my very first watercolor teacher when I was in my 20s, and I think Karen Davis has probably heard this before, he had a saying, close in the corners. And I was in my 20s. I was the youngest one in the class of like 30 professional artists. I was just thrown into the wolves. And I was embarrassed to say, what does that mean? But I finally figured it out. And he meant that whenever you had a corner and the edges of the painting, top, bottom, sides, tone it down and close it in so the eye moves in towards the middle of the painting. And finally, after about a year, I figured that out. But anyway, okay, and there's one other thing. So I think just doing those things, it's going to really, really make it a super painting with focusing on that vase a little more. Now we got the light coming from the right. And I think over here, you can make this little vase look not quite as flat if you will try to tone down this white and make the vase turn into the shadow, because you got a nice shadow behind it. But you didn't turn the body of the vase with it. You know what I mean? Into the shadow. So why don't you do that? And I personally would lighten up the shadow from the big vase just a little bit.
Now I did this, I painted this as it was sitting there, and there were two highlights coming down from like two opposite ways. So there was kind of like a double shadow. So one was a little bit darker, closer to the vase, and then the other one was a little lighter.
That's hard. I know
it was difficult.
It's very hard to set up a still life just perfectly. I mean, it's just a very tough thing. So you don't have light coming from too many places. But I think you did a good job. And I really love the way she's done the different size shapes everywhere. And I like the design of this going in and then turning. When we go to the vase, we kind of enter the painting with this black vase down here, and it makes a nice kind of a backwards C. And I love that. I think it's wonderful. So I think just tone down those parts that I mentioned, and you've got a really super painting here. It's very nice. Yeah. Anybody have any else comments? You know what I was going to do? I wasn't going to critique paintings first, but I'll go ahead and do that. I was going to tell you about the things I was going to tell you about my purpose.
For the course. For the group,
I was going to do that. And I had her painting up first, and I thought, oh, I'm just doing this. Okay. Well, let's go to my
I did have one little comment,
go
is
ahead.
that I liked all the shapes because they kind of mirrored the pottery.
Yeah.
I liked how that worked out.
Yeah, I do too. She's got a lot of different, whenever you have a lot of diagonals and line and then circular shapes and curves, it's very interesting. Everything's not just sitting there. She's got some movement there. So I like that. I really do.
The objects are beautiful. Whatever it is, they're really beautiful pieces.
Yeah, I think it is too. You did a very nice job.
Thank
So
you.
I'll see some more of yours on the 31st. Yeah. That would be great. So, well, let's do this. Let's switch to what I was going to talk about real quick, unless the others of you don't have to leave real quick or anything. And we just.
No, we're okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
All right, everybody. All right. Well, let's start with what I was going to start with then. Let's start with this right here. My whole purpose in painting this painting was to show the depth and recession of this canyon scene. And I named it Reaching Beyond because I want you to be able to go on forever and ever and ever. So that means that really my purpose in painting the painting was not this huge part of the painting, was it? That is just a jumping off part, and it was very important because without this, you have no recession. You've got to have those rich, dark colors up front to get that depth and recession. So I had to paint this. I just loved it, and it's become one of my favorite paintings, actually. But anyway, then there's another one that I want to show you an example of depth and recession in. Just one second here. It's this one. This is called Hill Country Sunset. I'm from Texas. So this is the Hill Country. And again, this scene blew me away. This was on top of a place near Fredericksburg, Texas. It's in the Hill Country. And Karen, have you ever been there? You're
Yeah,
from,
right.
okay.
Were
Well,
you
this
on
is,
that rock, that big rock?
it was called Cross Mountain. It was 3 miles out of
Okay,
downtown Fredericksburg.
okay.
And they call it a mountain. Well, it's not a mountain, it's a hill. It's a little hill. But anyway,
It's a mountain for Texas.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, my whole deal was when I got to the top of this hill and saw the scene that went on forever, that is what I wanted to capture. I didn't care if, you know, if you had any of this stuff, but I had to have it because without it, again, we wouldn't have any depth. It would be all one value back there. And you can't go from here to there if it's all one value and all one color temperature. We'll talk a lot about that. So I've got lots of warm colors up front, the bushes, and then lots of cool colors back here. All of this is really cool back here. So warm to cool and dark to light and all this other stuff, hard edge to soft edge. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes with that.
So you'll help us figure out how to kind of
yeah.
create that depth
Oh yeah,
through
yeah.
through all these.
I call it a progression.
Uh-huh.
And this really is a green progression from the warm greens back to the cool greens. And yeah, that is like, that like makes my day when I can do something like that.
Uh-huh.
I just love it. I love it. I love it. So
I love the light too,
well, thank you. Good.
because you can
Okay.
really see it and you can see, you know, where it's hitting and where it's not. And that's just fascinating.
Yeah, it kind of filters. Oh, and Karen, here's what I was talking about, the greenish in the sky.
I saw that immediately.
Yeah. And I think
Green in the sky.
yeah, there is a greenish glow. I'm not sure why, but I would only guess that maybe the yellow tones hit the blue tones in the sky, the upper sky, and kind of turn it into a green. That's all I can think is the colors kind of mix on the palette. You know what I mean? Like the sky and the
Wow.
sun. Isn't that cool? And then the other one I wanted to show you that kind of is the same deal. This is another Texas scene, Ventura Canyon. And again, I've used the really darks and warmer. Well, they're not really that warm, but they're really dark. And then without that, of course, we wouldn't get the contrast of the depth. And then back here, this is a really cool purpley blue. And if I had made that the same color as the other part, we wouldn't get any overlapping depth, you know, for that either. So you just have to really plan it out. Now there's, I want to bring back that Hill Country Sunset again. Where did that go? Just a minute. Here it is. Okay, another thing that I love is leading the eye through the painting. And this one is it's a very good example of it. There was a little path here, but I kind of made it go from here. And then you can visualize it going down the hill and then it winds back, and disappears. So what we've done, we've entered the painting and wound around and looked at things. And then we're winding ourselves back to the sunset in the back. So I love using curves to get you through the painting and to look around. You know, I talked a minute ago about the bunny rabbit. If we just enter the painting and boom, and we don't have anywhere to go around, it's it's just kind of like you're hitting a like a roadblock that's your center of interest, it happens to be, but you need to enjoy the painting while you're in there, you know. Wait a minute, I'm going to bring this back a second, and oh, I did take the marks off. Okay. And this is another one that was more of a challenge to curve through the painting. I'll show you what I tried to set up here. I painted this one mainly because of the light. I loved the light, the subtle light on the snow. So what I wanted, and I used a photo for this, but I changed it quite a bit. But what I wanted was for, I'm going to get a little bit darker thing here. I wanted this light right in here to continue, and this be the whole light part of the painting. Whoops, I'm not draw real good with this thing. So basically, if you enter over here and you go over to this light, you look around, that's kind of what I wanted. Now, we have something else in here, though. We have this little river. And the river, I can just hear some of you thinking this, leads you in. And of course, you can go to the tree. That's fine. But then the river goes back. And some of you might say, but that leads you out of the painting. Well, it would, but I have toned this whole part down. If you look at this whole part of the painting over here, it is very close in value and non-light. So really to me, there's two parts to the painting. There's that part, and then there's this part that's the light part. And which one do you all look at? And feel free to say, I look over at the dark part. You can say that, and I won't be insulted. But this painting won an award and it sold, so I did something right. But
I think you move to the dark part and then you move over. I mean, kind of.
Very good, because that is what was in my plan. Now let me get a lighter color here. I was hoping somebody'd say that. So when you move over to the dark part, these trees are really kind of supposed to bring you back around, and also the way that I pointed these trees back in to the tree, and I pointed these trees into the tree. So it's hard to stay out of the painting. You know what I mean? If you do go out, you just loop back in. And all these things had to be planned. So that's what I'm really big on. You know, I heard this tape one time, a motivational tape, and my husband and I were listening to it. And I love this saying, you've all heard this, I'm sure, failing to plan is planning to fail. So I love that because it's so true. It really is true. So now let's talk about
can I just make one comment?
Please do, please.
One of the other things I really like about this, because I'm just all about color, but well, I'm pointing at, you can't see where I'm pointing, but the color in the water and then the color coming down the hill, you know, the variation of color, I should say, it also grabs your attention and keeps you, you know, pulls you right in.
Yeah, I wanted the pink to be near the tree. You know, I wouldn't make this all green and then put the pink way out here somewhere in the water. But that all has the purpose also, and that's a good comment, Karen. Perfect. Yeah. So
I agree. I understand what Karen is saying, because when you see the color in the river, I also go to the sky. You just connect. So you move your eyes around because you have the color that connects.
Movement. That is just flat. Yes. Movement is a key thing that I think we should all achieve in a painting. Movement. You said it. So, okay. So let's go to this is a curve that leads you around. We saw the curve in the Hill Country Sunset one. But let's go to a zigzag to lead you around. Okay, this is well, it's not a great example of a zigzag, but you'll see the zigzag in a second. So this was a Utah scene, and it's also got the depth in the background because I've made the, whoopsie, I couldn't see where my cursor was. I've made this purpley color, and guess what my color scheme was in this? Anyway, the other thing is the picture that I used had 500,000 little round bushes in it. So I had,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I did. I promise you, it was awful.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So it's a nightmare when you see something like that. So what I had to do was to design my bushes, and I'll show you kind of what I tried to do was to zigzag. I'm trying to draw straight lines here, zigzag them back and have this pick up with this green, leads you up here, leads you blah, blah, blah. And here you are at the lightest part of the mountain. And then the clouds, you know, to kind of curve you around and bring you back, loop you back to this. I'm trying to make an arrow and I can't do it. There we go. That's kind of my plan for this. And as I said, the bushes were just a nightmare. And thank goodness for value sketches, or I do little sketches beforehand, because I would have painted this over so many times, you know, but it really came out, I think, okay. But that's an example of zigzagging your eye through. Yes, Sue?
Well, speaking of that, you know, I always seem to go overboard on the details. And so, you know, that's something I kind of need to figure out, maybe have that plan that I know I don't necessarily plan because, you know, I just get going. And
I think that's a very good comment, because I think a lot of us do that. But if you start with just essential things that have to be in the painting, like the big shapes, and you do as little as you can for as long as you can. And I also preach staying away from white as long as you can. So we'll talk more about that later too. But you know, that's a very valid comment. And then a lot of times I'll put in too much detail, and in an oil, you can take it out or soften it. In a watercolor, you got a little bit more of a problem. So we kind of have to watch that. But yeah, that's a very, very good comment. Okay. So now there's another way that you can lead the eye around. Besides with paths or roads or bushes or rivers, and that is with turkeys. No, this is what I would call leading the eye around with darks. So these turkeys have a big purpose in the way I place them. These turkeys were everywhere, and they weren't even in this scene. They were in somebody's yard. But I'm going to try to draw this straight. I zigzagged you through by entering there and then zigzagging you. And I worked this out very carefully, zigzagged you back and through. And when I get over here, this turkey is so non-detailed and in the dark shadows near the dark trees that I don't feel like he's going to, I kind of feel like he stops you instead of leading you out. You know, maybe if I had put him way out at the end here, you'd catch him in your eye, and that wouldn't be good. But the way I feel, he hasn't led you out, I hope. Then I couldn't hardly see him myself. So then you can zigzag back if you catch these turkeys in the very distance. So there we've got a big, like a double Z or something. But anyway, I think it works and also the size getting smaller and smaller. Everybody gets grayer and grayer. You know, I've got the main turkeys. I'm trying to make that smaller. Oh, it's going to do something here. I don't know what. Anyway, the main turkeys in the front are a lot warmer and darker. So if you notice that, I'm not sure what it's doing. We'll just go to something else, let it do its thing, I guess. So there's another way to lead around, and that is with lights instead of the darks. And I hope I opened that picture. I don't remember opening it. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so this is called Mountain Elk. And in this one, it's kind of like the bunny story. I didn't really want to paint an elk, but I thought it'd be nice to have an elk in the painting. What I wanted to paint was the light. So I got the subtle light is what I love. So I hope you come in here, go up this tree to a certain point, and then go, oh, I don't really want to go up to the top. There's nothing up there. And maybe come back down and go back to the light, and then it zigzags you back to the elk. And he's got a lot of light on him. If you look at his antlers and stuff, he's just brimming with light. So anyway, that's the way I would lead you back to something with light. And then of course the whole background back here is just really it's all so close to the same value. Everything's kind of close that it doesn't have anything that jumps out at you, and you don't really look at the background that much. I hope. Not supposed to anyway. So anybody have questions about that? So light was my whole purpose in that. And then this one also, and I'm going to kind of cut this a little bit. Where's my cursor? Cut this a little bit short because I want to get back to the other two paintings. But this was my whole purpose in painting this one, the light streaking in and hitting this tree and in the sky, and then the other streak right here. That the rest of the paintings throwaway to me. It's just total throwaway. It doesn't matter, although it took me a long time to paint it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I would say that it's like a frame, and the way I see it.
yeah, kind of like it frames it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, or anchors it or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has to be there. And, to make it work, it has to be there. All the grays and the subtle shadow tones have to be there to make this light work. So that's what we're going to work on big time. So there's another thing I want to show you. I'm going to bring this other painting back, and I'm almost through with telling you. And these are we're just touching on things that we're going to here we go.
To go over and discuss
to
and
hit on
learn about. Try.
Yeah. And I'm all for baby steps with things. Did anybody see the movie What About Bob with Bill Murray?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Hilarious. We used to watch it every
is
Christmas.
hilarious. So remember his baby steps to the elevator, baby steps down. Oh gosh, that's great. So that always reminds me of studying values and color. Color unity and value are two different things, but this, I'm mainly going to mention color unity here. This painting, and we just saw it a minute ago, I used 4 colors in it. And this is my workup. Don't let this scare anybody if you might plan on taking my mentorship, because we are going to take baby steps. But this is a orange and blue and a green and red complementary split complementary palette. And we would never start out with anything like that, but because we'll start out with probably a complementary and go from there in baby steps, because I want you to really get this stuff. But this is the color that I mainly used for all those red rocks in the painting. And Karen, you probably should take note. Although New Mexico, maybe they're not quite that red. I don't know. Maybe they are. But anyway, I think this painting to me has a lot of color unity because of the colors I used and repeated everywhere. I never strayed from using those 4 color combinations. So it can really, really make a difference in your work if you're getting, number one, if you're getting muddy color, you're maybe using too many colors. Number 2, if you're getting awfully confused and not knowing exactly what you want, that's the key, is planning what you want before you start painting it and using every color on your palette. But I've heard a lot of people who are very good painters say they never use over 5 to 7 colors in a painting. And you never know it to look at their paintings, you know. So baby steps on complementary, starting with complementary. And then I want to show you a couple of more things. One of them is a thing about design real quickly. This is a watercolor, and we will also study different designs, and I call them armatures, like you would. I've never done sculpture, but you use an armature and you stick the clay on it and you get started. But an armature is what holds your painting together. And this one right here, you could say probably was like a T composition, like a inverted T. If I had, well, you know, that's kind of what I had planned, but it makes the flowers kind of hold together. And in the course, I'm going to pass out a book, not a book, but a couple of pages from a book. And I'm not going to pass them out because we're on Zoom. I'm going to attach them to the Mastrius chat or whatever, however you do it. Sue will tell me. And there are different compositional plans that Edgar Payne developed, and they are just wonderful. So now this one is kind of an S curve. Where's my cursor? Why isn't it working? Come on.
It's there somewhere.
Well, not really. I think I have to start it over, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, so this one I planned as an S curve with, I call it an extension. So it's not really an S curve, but I just really didn't want to create spaces out here that were kind of, you know, if this hadn't been here, I would have had this space and this space, and I wanted something up here. So that's why I decided to do the little extension. Or you could also say it would be like an upside down or a sideways C curve with this extension. But anyway, it definitely had something for the flowers to stick on, like an armature. And last but not least, I want to show y'all a couple of things we'll be doing. We'll be studying what happens to light in a sunset. So the light is in the middle there, or not right in the middle. And as it goes this way, and this is a very limited palette also, and as it goes this way, it changes, and we'll kind of learn about what happens to the light from the sun to the outer parts of the sky. And then this one, same, come on, go away, arrows. There. And this one's the same way. This gets really muted out here, and we'll kind of study when you're using just a few colors how to achieve that and keep that color harmony going for the whole amount of the sky. I think it's pretty harmonious, you know, the whole way across. And then how to also create a little glow in these clouds, because the sun is going to bounce up into them and create a glow instead of creating mud. So, all right. Anybody have a comment, question, anything? No, you should.
No, I like it. I like the light. I like the colors, and I like the way you treated them. For me, it's so frustrating because the sunset sometimes can look garish. Is the word
Right.
like
Right.
oh too much?
Yeah.
But
Sometimes sunsets are not as beautiful as you want them to be. You know, sometimes, well, I know,
but the way you do it, it shows the brightness, but it doesn't show like in your face. It's very
well,
subtle. I
I'm
really
glad.
like it.
That's what I wanted. I want it to be real subtle. And if
Yeah.
I enlarge this, you'll see that the part that is the sun, let me see if my touch screen will work. Oh, good, I can do that. The part that is oops, I'm not in the right place. The actual sun, if you look at that, it's not that bright. It's really not that bright, because if I'd started out probably with a real bright one, I would have had to be brighter everywhere before I toned it down. So I started out a little bit more subtly and got a more subtle painting out of it, I think, that way. So, well, good. Thank you, Lucy. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and that's something that you do because you are not attached to the photo, because when we see the photo, I think so is saying yes, because it happened to me. I attached too much to the photo, and then there is a
And
point
the photo
when
doesn't
you cannot
really
do that. You
do a
shouldn't
good
do that.
job either.
no, you kind of have to, I would say you kind of have to paint a lot of sunsets, but that's not always real possible. And Karen, here's that kind of, it's kind of a yellow greenish glow up there. It's not
So if
quite.
you go up higher, I see the green.
Yeah, oh
like-
yeah, higher. That's where it is. There it is.
Yep,
Yeah.
there it is.
Kind of a greenish glow. Yeah, I forgot I
Yep.
did that to the painting. Okay, so yeah, you need to really know what happens to the light as it goes out in the sky away from the sun. That's all there is to it. So anyway, now let's get to the other paintings. If there's no more and I call this colors dropping out. I forgot to tell you that when the yellow goes into other colors, orange, red, and kind of a pretty fuchsia, bluish red, they drop out. The yellow drops out first and the orange will drop out, etc. And you need to know all this stuff, to paint an effective sunset. Okay, now let's go to Lucy's. Speaking of sunset, this is
I
Lucy's
think Laura made it.
painting. Isn't that nice? I caught a glimpse of that. I thought, oh yes, she's got the light. What do you think, Lucy?
Yes, I like the light. I'm not extremely happy or totally happy, and I had to tone it down a little bit, talking about what we talked before. It was more orangey, and yeah, so
What you could do is just probably tweak this painting. You don't have to do any major thing, I wouldn't think, because I love the way, oops, it's really big, but oh well, that's okay. The bushes, the leaves around here, see how she's made them an oranger version of the rest of the shrubbery stuff. And that's just wonderful. And the sun peeking through. I think that's great. So that part is, I wouldn't mess with it at all. Let me make this little brush. No, we'll leave it alone. I'm afraid it'll backfire on me and make it darker. Okay, so the light is coming this way. And let me draw on your painting for just a minute. So we are standing right in front of it. So we're standing right down here somewhere. So this light is going to go out and rays like this. Oops. And then it's going to go the other way too. We can't see as much that way. And you've done a pretty darn good job of that. And what I mean is, the light would influence the grasses in the front. I'm going to get rid of these marks in a minute. And it would influence the colors in the water. And it would influence these grasses. Boy, I've made a mess of your painting. What if I couldn't get rid of it? Okay, so let me say one thing. with that said about the rays going out like that, I'm thinking to my eye, and this is a very small thing, I'm thinking there's too fast of a division, maybe between the orange and the blue. I think it might be more subtle. And what I would do, if it were mine, I would keep in mind that the sun is closest to the horizon line, and I would probably run the yellow maybe all the way out, maybe get it a little bit darker and subtler out there, but then not do it here, here, here. And I would make it come in a little more in that shape than just a straight, it ends here.
Yeah, I
No.
agree.
Okay, so that's very minor, but I think it'll help the painting. I love your sky. I think that is a super sky. So
Thank
now
you.
let's go down to the grass. Didn't you have grasses in the painting I critiqued? One of the paintings I critiqued last year for you. I think you had light. It was
Oh, yes.
sunset.
Something that was really close to that. Probably was the same day that I took the photo. Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you like doing things like that. I think it's super. However, let me offer one suggestion here. I think you're giving us, I think it would be more, what is the word? Dynamic? Oh, that's not the word I'm looking for. I'll think of it in a minute. But you're showing us all these lit up grasses. I don't like the color of that. I think what I would do is be a little more selective. And I'm gonna take hopefully that color. And what if we decided the grasses are going to be light back here, a little bit light. You've got a perfect, I think, right back here in the back. Perfect. But what if we decided we were going to zigzag you into the painting instead of boom, here's all this light grass.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that would be more effective. And can anybody kind of visualize what that would be like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally
So,
agree.
when light filters through trees, shrubs, anything, it doesn't go boom. Unless it's a
Yes.
huge opening. It catches here and there and here and there and here and there. And it's your job as an artist to make a pattern out of that light.
Yeah.
And I think just a little tweaking, and you got it.
That's
Nice.
very
It's a
helpful,
nice
Cecy.
painting.
Thank you so
Good.
much.
Good. I'm glad. Good.
Well,
Okay.
it makes such a difference, really. As
think
I
it
said
will.
before, it helps to see, okay, I say something is wrong, but you don't know what is wrong. So
I
it really
know
helps.
that feeling. I know.
Yeah.
And that might be a time sometime when you let it sit against the wall for a while, turned against the wall, and then you take it out and you go, aha, I know what it is.
Yes.
That can happen. Okay, now this is
Okay, I have a caveat here. I was
Okay.
painting in the living room and didn't have too many lights on. And I wanted to get kind of it to look yellow, but anyway,
Okay,
I feel like I'm getting cataracts here.
Oh dear. Well, you do
It's so
need to
yellow.
paint in good light. I was complaining about something to my sister one time, and she said, well, you always need good light to knit in. And then I tell her about knitting in the car on a trip. I wouldn't do that. And so it's kind of like painting. You have certain things, you'll be stuck outside sometime in terrible light, or light coming right into your eyes or something, and you can't help that. But in your house, yeah, you got to have some good light. But
Yeah.
I think you did very nice job. And I want to show you something. If you will think back about the vase, let me put the vase back up. The vase painting. Remember how we said that these lines should be kind of soft? And another thing you can do besides softening is breaking a line or softening a line here and there. So what I feel like, first of all, the tops of the trees, I think we need to soften the color a little, darken it just slightly. So you bring your eye into the painting. Like my first watercolor teacher said, you know, close in the corners. Okay, then I think in a reflection, even though if you wanted to show still water, you did. But if it were me, I would run some of the green and kind of lift through the lines in a couple of places to make sure that
It's not stagnant and algae ridden.
yeah, well, no, it's just that it's water and you need to treat it a little more differently than you treat the above ground, you know. Yeah. So I think that would just, you know, you could, this is a watercolor, everybody, and I forgot to say that. So you could just lift through those lines in places. You got something to lift with, don't you? A little scrubby brush or a little tiny piece of magic erasers, anything.
Right. Yeah.
And just kind of lift. And then, yeah, I think that'll really be a good thing to do. Then this is good because it points us. Look how she's pointed us where she wants us to go. And this one too, she's pointed us right in. And you don't really notice that she's done that, but she has, and it's very effective. Then you've led us there with these grasses, and you've led us right where you want us. And these two, right there. So that is good. Okay, now I'm about to get to a place. I was working up for this one. Okay, this one right here. Whee! And this curve right here wins. Okay. Now, what do we do about that? And by the way, that's not a good thing, being twins.
Okay, well, I figured that.
But I think, okay, anytime you have a curve and you repeat the curve, you know, especially right above it or something, that's not good. But what you could do is maybe take this background and come in a little more with that background.
Oh, I see. And break it up.
Break that in a couple of, and maybe come a little bit more in with that part. And now see, our curve is disguised. You could even cut that down a little.
It looks a lot better already. Yeah.
This looks kind of like a, you know, like that now, what I've done to it. So don't do that. But you get the idea. The curve can be changed, you know, a little bit. Then one other thing I would do, and this is like very, oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong thing. Very subtle. Soften an edge maybe right here. Just soften the dark into the edge so that the edge is still there, but it's not a hard edge.
Okay.
In one place or so. And that is just edges are really important to have a lot of soft and a lot of hard. And I feel like you've got a lot of hard edges in this painting. So why not just soften one here and there? And
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
great.
I think you did a good job. I really do. It's an interesting scene. Very interesting. I love it. Where was this?
France, actually, at a place called La Tour Marliac, where where Monet bought his water lilies. So I had this was a long time ago, like 8. Yeah, where he bought them a long time ago.
Oh, so you shouldn't have mentioned
we
that.
only cooked like 2,000 photos of water lilies.
Is that all? Oh God, let me mention something about your water lilies real quick that I saw at the beginning. Now I totally dropped the ball. I think the spaces between some of them are too equal. Like these, maybe adding a tiny one somewhere to make the distances more unequal. You know, grouping is good sometimes, like you've grouped these two together, but then you start doing separate, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they
4,
seem to,
So
yeah.
we can count them.
Okay,
Okay.
makes
Cool.
sense. Great,
Nice
thank
painting.
you.
Very nice. Now
Thank
we're going
you.
to get a little Arizona scene. Karen, tell us about your move. How long have you been to Arizona now? In Arizona.
Okay, well, we moved here. Well, our house was finished end of May, but we had rented here a couple of years in the wintertime. And I'm fascinated with the cactus and just the plants are just the oddest things you have ever seen. And
They are.
but learning how to paint them is difficult.
Yeah,
And so and then the other thing I'm in love with here, a house faces the back of our house faces west, and incredible sunsets. And so I want to so this is kind of basically, it's changed up, but the scene from our back deck. And of course I've used artistic license with that, but anyway, there's a Catalina Mountains in the back.
Beautiful.
Well, I've had a tough time. What you said, Cecy, about painting objects, I think I do get fixated on, I've got to make this cactus look like a cactus. And
yeah.
I've tried to, I have been, my paintings have been very photorealistic. Not that they're, perfect, but just, I try to get every jot and tittle of every, aspect of some object. And I'm trying to get away from that. So this was an effort to kind of soften everything up, to try to make it more painterly and less like a, photograph, and try to capture sunset and mountains and all my favorite things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think everything you said, you're on the right track. I have a suggestion. What did you want to really focus on in this painting? The sunset or the cactus?
Well, that's the problem.
Or do you know?
I couldn't decide.
Okay.
Well, it was about the sunset, but I put in dark cactus, in the front, and that looked terrible.
Yeah. No, it would be dark. Because
it didn't
it's
look right.
lit. Yeah. What I would suggest, and I don't have anything to draw on, so I'm going to draw on your paper and then I will erase all this. What I would suggest to you, if you want to focus on the sunset, and whoops, I meant to be over here. Let's just say this is a piece of paper or a canvas. Whoops. I can't draw with this mouse. It's okay. Now this is supposed to be a rectangle. Okay. Now. Okay. If it's about the sunset, okay, make your foreground very, very small, and even your mountains very small.
Got it.
And your focus, and don't even think about them. They're there. In several of my paintings I showed you all, I said the foreground has to be here, or the depth, I can't get any depth because it's all the same value. Well, the foreground has to be here to make your sunset look like. So you've got a foreground, and maybe, put some of your saguaros there, just so there'll be something there, and some bushes, and make the sky. I mean, don't even worry about the foreground. You can make it all dark if you wanted to. And then if you want to paint a cactus, well, it's a different story. Think about what you want to focus on.
So I have two different paintings here, right?
Yeah. You kind of do. Yeah. But you did a really good job, I think, of the sunset. I really like the colors and the way. I think what bothers me about is not the sunset. I feel like these darn little clouds are too much the same up here.
I see that.
I can't find the other one. So if you could just make, they're almost the same size. And maybe make find a photo that has one big cloud that you like, and make one of these a major cloud, and then the other two just kind of supporting that one. So you won't end up with the clouds you can count, just like the count those water lilies a minute ago. So,
Well, I think if I would probably put clouds in that are more purpley and that kind of, well, you can't, I'm pointing to it, that kind of go out like this. more.
yeah. Well, every sunset's different though. And there could be clouds like this in a sunset, too.
Yeah.
I have never seen a sunset like another one. Ever.
Yeah, true.
Like
Now,
a
Sure.
snowflake, huh?
Yeah.
I was in Tucson, and I'm just making a suggestion here because I'm not a saguaro expert at all. These, I think, would be a little taller, being this close to us in the foreground. Should use green, shouldn't I? But see, we're right up here in the foreground.
Right.
And I think that would be, what, 120 feet high or something. They're tall,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
instead of these poor little arms, bring one of them up. Whoa,
Yeah.
that was a mistake. I didn't mean that. Bring it up like that far. And, they have little bitty offshoots. And
Yeah.
if it's about the cactus, make it very interesting and eye-catching, because it's kind of like everything is important as everything else.
Right.
It is. So make something
Right.
really, really stand out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And watch
Got
your round shapes. No,
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, but
Okay.
Karen, don't get discouraged. You've been there such a short time. This is a totally different landscape
It
than
is.
Houston or Estes Park, Colorado. It's
I
totally
mainly painted Estes Park stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm down here just for a month. And I didn't really have any paintings with me, so I picked out just one that I did, a month ago. So
I think
yeah.
after you do enough like this, you'll get the
Mhm.
hang of this landscape, because it is totally different. And my first red rock painting I did, well, I call it red rocks, the one I've shown you like 3 times.
Right.
The first time I tried that on location, I didn't try that scene. Gosh, I'm not that stupid. I tried another, it's called Monitor Butte, and it was outside of Moab. And I thought, oh, I can paint this. I've got an hour. I can paint this. It was the most terrible thing I had ever done. And the colors were different. The scenery was different. Everything was different. And
Mhm.
then I kept trying. You just have to get used to painting a certain place, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And really study the things that are going on and the light.
Right.
So-
Right.
Okay,
That's
everybody.
great.
I think we've done our hour here, and y'all have
Yeah.
fun here.
Well,
Great.
well, thank you, Cecy. This has been
Oh,
great. Absolutely great. And I'm so looking forward to navigating the class, which is, let me give a little example here, 2 to 4 on Mountain Time, 2 to 4 Mountain Time on the 3rd Wednesdays of the month. And then, so that'll be a 2-hour session where we meet with Cecy. And then there's another 1-hour session, generally about 2 weeks later, where we all kind of get together and talk about things, and we can paint, or we can, talk about what the homework that Cecy gives us, and, how we're doing, what we think about it, all of that. So how we're struggling or how we're succeeding. And I think it'll be lots of fun. It'll be really fun to get to know everybody too. So you could find Cecy on Mastrius.com. And Leanne, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We had a mix up with the link. I'm very sorry about that. So good
Hi,
to see you.
Leanne.
It will be on YouTube a little later.
Yeah, I'll watch
And-
the beginning.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
great, you all.
Let me say one thing real quick, or 2 things. I appreciate y'all being here, because it really is going to help the YouTube recording that people will watch to see what it's all about, what my mentorship will be about. And I'm glad I had some feedback and some critiques to do that. That just helps, because that's the way I want to structure my mentorship is going through what we did the last session and then starting on the new one. And I've got a whole list here. I know you can't really read them, but I've got like 14 months of things like leading the eye, the warm and the cool of it. Each month we will focus on a different large aspect of why you paint, not things. We won't paint a bunny or we will focus on, the colors dropping out, and we will do some work with the color wheel and limited palette, but we'll have a little assignment. And one of my watercolor students from Dallas wants to join and can't till October or November. But anyway, he said, I'm kind of worried about the homework. I said, oh, don't worry about the homework. We're going to be doing small things for homework. You can go as far as you want on it, or you can do the very little on it, or you can repeat it a few times and get it down. But it's not going to be like a massive thing you have to do in between. So don't worry, because he was worried about that. So no, it won't be like that. Won't be like that. But
Can we ask questions at some point about the program?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was reading over everything and I couldn't tell. So what I'm hearing you say is that we can have you as our mentor every month, correct?
Right.
How do I sign up for that part?
Okay. Yeah, it's at mastrius.com, MASTRIUS. I'll see if I can get the link and put it in there.
Okay.
But then it'll say choose your mentor.
Okay.
And then you'll eventually get to a prompt that lets you put in, you can search for Cecy by name, and Cecy is the only Cecy. So if you write Cecy, it'll take her. Yeah, thank you, Leanne. It'll take you right to Cecy, and then it'll give an explanation and show you the paintings, and then you can sign up right there.
Okay.
It's in US dollars. I believe it's 87 a month. And that you get the working with the mentor. It's a group of 8 people or fewer. And so it's really kind of fun because we all, have a community going, and it's fun to talk, and, everybody becomes like good friends just from working together, which is really fun. So
great.
Okay. I like the fact when I was reading all about it before I agreed to do it, wanted to know what in the world it was about. And I like the fact where you're not locked in. You're not locked in for like a year. And another thing is on a lot of things you are locked in. And also you don't have the live interaction. Most of them that I've read about are just recorded things that you can watch at any time, and you've got a year to watch them all. And maybe there's a Facebook community chat thing, but it's not like a real voice and a person on the other end.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we actually get to talk with each other and interact. Yeah.
That's good. That's great.
It probably doesn't matter what medium you use to learn in your course, or can we use whatever medium?
No, that's a very good question. And I'm sorry I didn't even think of mentioning that, because I know what medium everybody did up here and everybody was fine. I focus on oil and watercolor, but then a lot of acrylics are done just like either an oil or a watercolor. They can go either way. I could be of some help with pastels, but I wouldn't say that's my expertise. But I'd say oil, watercolor, or acrylics would be. What do you do? Let me just ask you that.
I've been acrylics, but I'm in like a bunch of groups. I love wow. My recent mentors have been oil painters, so I'm trying to learn to love them. But it's a lot different than using acrylics. So
yeah, I know acrylics dry really fast, and They are different, but I feel like the things that I am going to focus on, and watch the YouTube since I don't know how much you missed. I'm sorry. I don't know when you came in, but I went through all the things I'm going to focus on, and none of them really matter what medium you're using. They're like focusing on light. They're focusing on how to get depth and on color unity, or painting unity with your color unity and things like that. So it really wouldn't matter. I don't think what medium, because I'm not going to be giving instructions on any certain medium. I will demonstrate in either watercolor or oil, depending on how many people do what, and I'll kind of switch back and forth probably, but it'll kind of be the same thing for all mediums. Yeah. I'm trying to focus on big concepts of why we paint, not painting a thing in a certain medium. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I had one other. So when I was looking at the website, so the $87 one, you identify as, I don't know, professional artist or something. I am not a professional artist. That doesn't matter, does it?
Oh, no.
It's emerging. Emerging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
That had to
definitely
do,
emerging.
that had to do
Like for
with
the rest of my
the,
life, I might emerge, but
yeah, the
Okay.
mentor. That had to do with the mentor.
okay. Oh, okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
the
Okay.
mentor. And then they do have several levels. They have aspiring level,
Yeah.
for maybe people, and they have beginners actually for people who haven't tried anything, and then aspiring
Okay.
and emerging. And then the professionals are like professional artists trying to maybe find out how to run their business a little better,
Okay.
that type of thing.
It's there's a lot of overlap, Karen. It really isn't that fussy.
Okay. This is brand new to me, so I
Yeah.
wasn't quite sure.
I've been
Yeah.
in Mastrius for 2 years. I have learned so much. It's been great.
Great. All right. Thank
And
you.
the events are really fun, aren't they, Leanne? I was
Yeah.
mentioning them, and yeah, they have different demonstrations, people talking about concepts, and
Okay.
that's been good too. So, yeah.
Great. Okay.
Okay, good. Well, I hope to see you all next month on the third Wednesday.
right.
All right.
right.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Cecy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cecy.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you,
you
Cecy.
too.
It was
Thank
amazing.
you.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Bye.
Take
Good
care.
to see
Bye.
you again, Lucy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.